Good evening to all the viewers and participants. My name is Madhuri Mishra. I am a student at the Yogaguru Institute, doing a 500 hours teacher training course and also pursuing MA in yoga. Welcome to this session being conducted by the Yoga Research Study Circle, which is a part of the Women Health Research Foundation, also called as WHRF. Our study circle is a team that helps yoga professionals publish their research and get their work recognized. We invite achievers from different fields every Sunday to share their experiences and inspire others. Today, we have Colonel Anil Gulati, who is an Army veteran with 14 years of experience in teaching and training post-retirement from the Army. He is an expert in employability and interview skills. As an associate professor and head of communication skills at MIT University, he created a niche for himself and in the area of communication training. He has led the Center of Excellence for Grooming at the university. He has also done corporate training on 7 habits of highly effective people and has earned many accolades for it. His research areas include communication, etiquette training, and behavioral communication. During his 5 years with Male Filters, he supported activities of the NGO arm of Anand Automotive Systems. His near-term plans are to prepare a few students from the economically weaker section schools to get into NDA. An avid reader and a public speaker, he has conducted several events as an anchor and has been a motivation speaker for students of MT. His talk today is on time management, a new paradigm. He will be sharing insights on how we can best manage our time in this busy life. Over to you, Colonel Gulati. Thank you for joining us today for this session.
Thank you for the kind words and a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to share the screen. Request the moderator to confirm screen visible. To me, it is partially blocked, but it's fine with me.
We can see.
Right. Topic as introduced by the moderator, time management, a new paradigm. It'll be a good idea to take a look at the existing one first. It focuses on time and activities and not on outcomes, on efficiency, not on effectiveness. And to ensure that, I hope my screen is visible to the audience, entire screen.
Yeah, it is.
Let me just. Right. As we said, there's an obsession with efficiency, and we try to identify the common time wasters. And then a few more time wasters and a few more time wasters. Actually, I had 5 slides on how to save time. I've deleted all of them, ironically, to save time. Presently, we bank upon checklist, calendars, and technology. Mobile, next to me, it beeps, I start doing that particular work. And same for my laptop. Why I'm doing? Possibly I don't think. And all the time, I'm running against this clock right in front of me. So there's a competition every day between my clock and my checklist. End of the day, I'm stressed, frustrated, and I ask myself this question: if working harder and smarter won't help, what will solve? I have a solution for you. Please pick up your pen and paper and let's get started. Now you need to write 2 words. What one thing which you're not doing now, if you do on a regular basis, will improve your personal life considerably. And similarly, one thing which you're not doing now, if you do it on a regular basis, will improve your professional life. So two things, one in your personal life and second in your professional life. You've written these two words. We'll come back to these two and see where the answer lies. Before that, let's differentiate between certain important terms, doing right things and doing things right. Right things are what lead to my outcome. So I start with identifying those right things and then press on the efficiency part, how to do in the best possible manner. Because doing more things faster is no solution for doing right things. Now you'll find this consistency throughout this particular session, wherein I'll prioritize effectiveness, efficiency, priorities, and schedule, leadership, management. This consistency you'll notice throughout. As the last bullet says, schedule priorities rather than prioritizing your schedule, which implies first I identify my priorities, then make a schedule. Rather than whatever comes in front of me, I start prioritizing it. The new paradigm, compass, and then the clock. Compass shows me direction, clock tells me in what time frame I'm expected to do. This fourth generation, I hope the entire screen is visible.
Yeah, I can see 4 bullet points. And is there anything else that I should be seeing, like compass and then clock, 4th generation, weekly planner, Q2 organizing process? That is what I see.
Right. As that is being resolved, I'll carry on with it.
Yeah.
So that I stay within 20 minutes.
Okay, sure.
Compass, the direction first, and then the clock. And 4th generation's got two main features. It's a weekly planner. That means the time management plan is scheduled for the entire week, not on the daily basis. And second word, Q2, quadrant 2, you'll be hearing many, many times in the near future. Clock, appointment schedules activities, how we manage our time. But it's the compass we are looking at first. My vision, my values, my mission, and the direction which I want to take. We often mix up with these two terms, urgent and important. Urgent is something right in front of me, which necessarily doesn't lead to my mission or objective or the desired outcomes, but important does so. So I must focus my energy on the important and then come. Let's take some examples. As a matrix, important, quadrant 1 is important and urgent. So you've got no choice but to actually resolve whatever has figured in here. Quadrant 2 is where I proactively work on. And if I work on quadrant 2, my quadrant 1 will shrink. For the time being, I'm keeping 3 and 4 hidden from you. Let's take crisis. You have to resolve it. A fire takes place, you have to resolve it. But quadrant 2 asks what I could have done before crisis happened. I can give example from the education forum. I can give example from factories. A fire takes place, you have to resolve it. But if you prepare in terms of inflammable material, in terms of preparation of equipment, in terms of preparing your manpower, possibly the fire will not take place. Even if it does, you have capacity to resolve. 3 and 4, I would recommend that we skip, because 3 is a quadrant of deception. We think these things are important, possibly they are not. And quadrant 4 in any case is waste of time. And it is quadrant 2 we should focus on. Now, my question to you, you just wrote 2 words. My question is, which quadrant they fall in? I think, I say with full courage of conviction that 2 things which you wrote fall in quadrant 2. If there are any variations, we'll discuss during the question answer session. Let's proceed. Quadrant 2 is quadrant of quality, long range planning. And as I said, increasing time spent in quadrant 2 shrinks quadrant 1. We are planning weekly. As I said, there are two features, quadrant 2 and weekly planner. Weekly is based on importance, direction, effectiveness, which should come before efficiency, and it provides me a broader context. So this is the 5-step approach. How I go about it, I connect with my vision, my mission, and I recommend you all write a mission statement. The proper module takes about 1.5 hours, which I have developed, but you just write what you think, you visualize is going to be important and where your mission falls. Then you identify roles. We got a lot of roles. I normally recommend that I identify 2 to 3 roles in personal life, 3-4 in professional life, and 1 odd role beyond professional life. We'll come to details later. And then you select goals, create a framework, and thereafter take a look at that schedule every day, minor adjustment required, make there. How do we decide our goals? Through this bucket. If you Google 7 Habits, Big Rocks, or the author of that book, Stephen Covey, Big Rocks, you'll find the original video on net. Now, after a lot of experimentation with the students, Mr. Stephen Covey, it was found that it's only possible that all things will go in this bucket, provided you put the big rocks first. And then you put the pebbles, pebbles will find their way, and sand in any case is very fluid, all things will fit in. At the end of that experiment, the author asked the students, so what's the lesson? One student promptly said, unless you put big rocks first, then pebble, then sand, all will not fit in. No, that's not the lesson. The lesson is, unless you put the big rocks first, big rocks will not fit. Stop. And what are the big rocks? My priorities of life, which make difference, the desired outcomes, which take my life towards my mission. So identify your big rocks and then proceed ahead. We'll carry out a small exercise. I have various roles. I'm an individual. I'm a husband and father of 2 loving daughters. And I made this slide when I was working with Mahale filters. Later on, possibly this role will change, and CMP I'll come to in detail. I start with the individual. You know, whenever I travel, the air hostess reminds me, put your oxygen mask first before you help someone else. So true in life. Unless I equip myself, I can't take care of my loved ones or my students or my society. So I take care of myself. How do I do that? I draw all wisdom from a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I take regular sessions on that. And habit number 7 says, sharpen the saw, which implies continuous self-renewal in all 4 dimensions: physical, in mental, emotional, and spiritual. All these 4 dimensions must be taken care of every day without fail. So I have to find a means for my physical health, for my mental health, for my spiritual health. Now, my recommendation would be the yoga takes care of all 4 dimensions to a great extent: physical, your mental, emotional, spiritual. And if something is left out, by all means, you want to learn a new trick, new art, you can add on. But choice is yours. Then, of course, family comes. In this, you'll find I've taken 2 roles from personal life and 2 roles, HR and environment, health, safety from this. If I have to take revise it now, I'll possibly say head communication skills and leader of Center of Excellence for a Tire Improvement. I'll take these roles and then find out my roles. CMP stands for Confederation of Management Professionals. The HR professionals of Gurgaon and Manesar, we combined and created a forum for each other's learning. So I was a core committee member, And I was also editor of a magazine called Prevail, so it required a lot of time. Like those of you who organized today's program must have invested considerable time. Similarly for my magazine, and that it was a hard copy that time. Later on, with Mahale and Amity, it was relatively easier for me because I was editor there too, but it was digital, relatively simple. Now, against each roles, I've created a framework. Individual, I put 7, continuous self-renewal, 7th habit of Stephen, highly effective people. So I just put a code for myself, plus PPT. I learned PPT from my daughter. And that time I was learning. Now I learn from YouTube, trying to improve. Not reached a great stage still. Family, very important. Those days, there was a good movie which came in town called Tare Zameen Par, Amir Khan. It was a great movie, so we decided why not see in theater. And then my younger daughter said, let's go in for gym equipment, which we never bought. Because in the meantime, we came in contact with a yoga trainer. So 2 of us were the students for trainer. So Guruji was very nice, always smiling face. And early morning, both of us in Princeton DLF, we used to put mats, and great memories of that time. My role in HR each year, that will vary with each person, and Prava I've already covered. Now, all these things I translate to a plan which is on daily basis. My planner still remains weekly. It still remains weekly because that provides me broad context. But then to implement that, I put all this in this. Now, I've not moved everything there, but even if you do, you'll not find much clutter there. They'll still find a lot of empty spaces. Like we noticed that you can identify higher quality goals in between also and add there. Take example of some of you are blessed to stay with your parents or in-laws. I mean, they are also parents. Now, if they are unwell, I'm sure you rush them to the hospital, no doubt about it. But many people do not go in for preventive medication or preventive checkups. They don't plan. In this, you got a lot of slots available, and you somehow, since you have included roles and goals, you're bound to include. You will also find time to encourage them to participate in yoga or other hobbies. You may take them to a dietitian to work out the diet plan as suitable for them. So all these high impact things in life, this particular paradigm permits you. Now, we are just 2 minutes away from our question answer session, but there certain questions came to my mind. I thought maybe clarification at this stage would be helpful. Now, how many goals we selected? 10 to 12? And some of you will come out that my checklist is 20, 30, 40 every day. What happens to the remaining task? I call them pebbles and sand because all big rocks you already fit in. Now question of smaller things, like what? Returning mails, returning calls, contacting some other thing, a small meeting, small note here and there. You slot it as it suits you. I have worked out immediately after lunch, a slot has worked out well for me. You can choose yours. Show your checklist is there and try and resolve as many as you can. But you're not worried because the big rocks are there as rock solid as you want to be. But weekly evaluation will be confined only to big rocks so that we do not dissipate our energies. Now, I was slightly harsh on the time stealers and wasters. And in fact, that was a copy-paste job. I showed you 4 or 5 slides initially were from one of the presentations which I attended. I'm not against efficiency. Good to save seconds, minutes, maybe hours at times. What I want to say is, in case you get obsessed with those minutes and seconds and lose focus on the big things in life, big rocks in life, then I think you're not on the right direction. That was the aim, not to be harsh in that case. Then you plan for next week when when you do the weekly evaluation that you may do in Friday evening, or any time between Friday evening to Sunday evening, depending upon your following 5-6 days work week. And then I have planned so well, and next morning I find something has come up. So I must review, do I require to change? And then I should be confident enough to adjust. And you'll find there are a lot of slots available. And even if they are not, you'll have that confidence and integrity to change whatever is required to be changed. So this is, we are going to follow hereafter today. This is our present, and this is going to lead to your future, which is going to be very, very bright. So connect with your vision and mission, identify the roles, 2-3 roles in personal life, 3-4 in professional life, 1 odd role in beyond professional life in society. You are a member of RWA, you're a member of organization like this. And then in each of these, try and select 1 to 2 goals. Too many goals will be counterproductive. And you also need not select goals in every role. If nothing is happening in that particular role, good enough. And then you create a decision-making framework. And once you have done that, then press on regardless, try to stick to what you have decided as far as possible. So this is what you dreamt a short while ago. Was this your dream? I take care of myself, I improve communication, I prepare well, new opportunities, personal development, empowerment others. You can ask any further clarification on this work-life balance, but let me say, congratulations, you just realized your dreams. Wonderful audience, I salute. Jai Hind. Open for question. I can stop sharing if moderator allows. I don't need, in case you need, then possibly you can go back to the slide. Decision of the moderator. I'll take a sip of water. Yeah.
That was a wonderful session, Colonel Gulati, and I mean, some really good takeaways, like how we can compartmentalize and, place our priorities and what should be important one. And
Am I stop sharing? I stop sharing with your permission?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, done. Very good. I'm looking more handsome now. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was saying, some great takeaways on how we should restructure our way of thinking and what we should do to prioritize and all of that. So I had a couple of questions, like you talked about roles and all. So I have decided, say, 3-4 roles for myself, and I'm going in that direction, and I'm following those roles. But suddenly something urgent comes up, and I have to say change my role or change my tasks, and that adds to like the stress, or it brings in the panic of missing, or having to switch over and all of that. So what is your suggestion, your recommendation to overcome that in that stressful situation, how to handle that?
Right. Thank you. You mentioned urgent. That means it has to be done now. Now, if it is urgent and important, happily do it. If it is urgent and unimportant, see if you can delegate and do something about it. And at times you may clarify to your boss. Boss says, I need a report, right? That's urgent for you, urgent for me. Now, in case some slot is not available on that day, I go back to my boss that I'm presently working on this. Will it be all right if I submit that report after 2 days?
Okay.
And if he says yes, good enough. If he says no, well, then boss is always right. I adjust something about it. And as long as I know it is urgent and important, anything from boss is going to be important. I will go a step further, in fact. This time something urgent came up. In particular week, if it doesn't come up, still I may like to change at times. Take example, morning I was traveling in a lift with a head of a training consultancy. And as we stepped out, she said, our consultancy is adding a vertical on soft skills. Would you be interested? I said, let's meet. So I adjusted one particular slot and I said, fine. So that brings me another lesson. You must have access to this time management schedule which you have made in some form, on your mobile, on your notepad, or even a crumbled paper like I do most of the time, but it's available and known to me what I can do on that day, what I can't do on that day. So urgent, yes, but check if it is really urgent from the boss or whosoever says. If some subordinate said, possibly you can discuss it out. Is it so urgent or can we take it? Important, yes, I'm all for importance. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so don't panic, just think and communicate and discuss about the
Yes,
situation
yes, that's
and
right.
then decide what action needs to be taken. Okay.
So you have hit the nail on the head, actually. Great
Yes.
to have a coordinator like you, a moderator like you. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. So another question I have is like, or most of us, I mean, the audience that you mostly cater to are like, students and young professionals or those who have different roles in life. So, and often they are like struggling how to manage their time with whatever, work that they are doing, whether it is studying or whether it is, being employed in an organization, and then they have the roles at home. So, I mean, if they find a misbalance, what is it that what is the best approach that they can take in that?
See, my definition of work-life balance would be, or maybe can include students also, is as long as various dimensions of my life are being given adequate time for my growth, that will be work-life balance. And this particular paradigm identifies my various roles. And I'm selecting, for example, I've taken care of myself to start with. Often we neglect the housewives, the homemakers very often neglect that part. I would recommend no. And then I have selected various roles in my professional life and beyond professional life. Now there you will find, I'll introduce one more term actually that is given by the author, chosen imbalance. Chosen imbalance. That means by choice, I'm creating an imbalance in my life. Obviously it's for a short period. Now, for example, I love to have dinner with my family. That's one has missed so many things in army life. It's a beautiful life, actually. But some things one misses in life, and I don't want to miss now. I left a high-paying job because they were not permitting me to have dinner with my family. Right. Now, I follow that routine. But when I find, like I mentioned my role, environment, health, safety, I find the audit is about to come next week. I inform my family, and then I sit midway through the night and keep working. What I've done is I've created chosen imbalance in my life for that period, which others do appreciate. But now about the students. The main, which I've taught MBA students for 12 years now, you give them assignment to be submitted 2 weeks later or to be submitted tomorrow. Makes no difference. If it is after 15 days, it'll become 14th day. Urgent, once it becomes urgent. So anything, even examinations, I tell them are important. Are they urgent? No. But if in case you ignore your studies, they'll become urgent at some stage, and then you'll be under pressure and not get the kind of desired results. So long-term planning, preparation, empowerment is also very important. Like empowerment also takes time. You prepare your team and you have to invest time, but you'll have very little crisis thereafter. You can work on your systems in such a way in quadrant 2 that you'll not face such situations. But every situation is different. I can't give a perfect answer possibly for every situation, but if these guidelines are there, I'm saying when they can be exist.
Okay. So what I understand is that, be well prepared with plan A, plan B, or how well you want to manage, the future crisis, and also be thoughtful or intelligent about where you want to create the imbalance in life in order to get that, work-life balance or balance wherever we need, like be it peace or prioritize myself of a family at that point of time. So be intelligent and sensible about it, and also prepare well.
Right, absolutely right. Like a student you mentioned, a keen sportsman. I was very fond of sports. Now, once I'm closer to examination, then possibly I'll leave sports for some time, and maybe I accord priorities, and that becomes my quadrant 2 activity for that period of time. I remember I left swimming when I was appearing for ISTD examinations, Indian Society of Training and Development, and which I did only a few years back. So I think that is the way what you just mentioned.
All right, all right. So that is all that I have to ask you, Colonel, and thank you for taking time out and sharing these wonderful ways of achieving balance in our life. So thanks once again for your time.
Thank you so much, entire audience. Thank you. Jai Hind.